Hey everyone, I'm Jordan Yule, and I want to talk to you about something that's been driving me insane now that we're just a few weeks out from the election, and that is polling. We are seeing polling updates every single day, and these numbers and the results are sometimes volatile. They swing from candidate to candidate. Sometimes Trump's up in some swing states, sometimes Harris is up in others. And it's really difficult to make sense of it, so I've gathered a couple things to help us all digest this polling quagmire we're in. And of course, you might be like me, where you obsess over every single poll to try to gain insight into who's going to win in November. But here's the thing, polls aren't exactly foolproof. You remember in 2016 and 2020 how some polls were off. In 2016, many people were blindsided by Trump winning because everyone thought, based on polling, Hillary Clinton was going to win. In 2020, the polling was a lot closer, although it did show Biden ahead, but Trump had a really close race in a couple key swing states. That left a lot of people uneasy, and we didn't know who the clear winner was until a few days later. By the way, it was Biden. So the big question is, what are we in store for this cycle? Could the polls be overlooking Trump's real numbers, and could he pull off an upset again?
Trump pulling ahead in two of the crucial battleground states. He now leads Vice President Harris by 5 in Arizona. Remember, Arizona was just down to, tens of thousands of votes, very slim margin in 2020. He trailed by 5 last month in Arizona. So that's a move in the New York Times Siena College poll to his benefit. He is up 2 points in North Carolina right now after trailing there by 2 in August. And he is hanging on to his 4-point lead in the state of Georgia. Here's a look at how close these states were in 2020, which I was just mentioning. Biden won Georgia and Arizona by less than 1 point. Former President Trump took North Carolina by less than 2.
He seems to be surging, but pollsters are like, well, hold on. Since 2020, pollsters have made changes to their methodology to avoid undercounting Trump supporters. That way we get a more accurate data set. And as pollsters explain, they've included things like voter registration and past voting history into their methodology to get a better and more accurate readout. But the hardest thing that they still admit is a problem, that's projecting voter turnout. Of course, it's easy to say in a poll that you support somebody, but it's much more difficult to go out and actually vote. It might be inconvenient or something might come up that day. Quantifying voter turnout is really hard, and it's a problem with both candidates. It's hard to quantify who of the younger voters who lean more Harris are actually going to show up, because youth voters don't vote at the same rates that older voters do. And members of Trump's base, in many cases, have been registered for a very long time, but they haven't voted or don't vote often. So maybe this could be the first cycle that they're voting in a while.
Kamala Harris carries these Great Lake battleground states, but of course, Donald Trump carries North Carolina, Georgia, and Arizona, and that leads to 276 electoral votes for Kamala Harris to 262 for Donald Trump.
This is what Democrats are hoping for. You're one shy with 19 electoral votes there in Pennsylvania. I haven't clicked on Nevada yet because you've got that one out here in Nebraska, which would be enough to give Kamala Harris the presidency.
And then, of course, there's the issue with polls not telling the whole story. With polls, sometimes the devil's in the details. Take 2016, for example. Hillary Clinton was leading in national polls. She ended up winning the popular vote but lost the Electoral College. And then people left feeling the polls were inaccurate because she lost the Electoral College. And that's one of the problems with people relying too much on national polling. It's not really useful. But despite winning the Electoral College in 2016, that didn't stop Trump from complaining about it and saying it was biased toward Democrats.
It was done and stated by the Democrats because they lost an election that they should have won, because the Electoral College is a big advantage for Democrats, not for Republicans. And they should have, and I ran the clock out. We ran the whole thing. You ran up the East Coast from North Carolina to Pennsylvania. Then we go up to Wisconsin and Michigan, states that hadn't been won for many, many years. We won those states.
And then, of course, there's the shy Trump voter theory. That's the theory that Trump supporters are too embarrassed by their support for him, so they don't admit it in polls.
The shy Trump voter is what he's going for. He's going for someone who's thinking, I want to vote for that Trump guy. I like the stuff he talks about. I remember how the country was when he was president. It's just, there's something about those tweets, or really the social taboo around Trump that the media has created, that the left has inculcated. People like Tim Walz, of course, have played into, where it's wrong to vote for Trump. It's wrong to support him. And those people are waiting for some kind of permission.
I mean, I've got to tell you, if you've even watched a minute of a Trump rally lately, there's nothing really shy about his base. Here's what happened when TYT asked some Trump supporters in North Carolina, what would happen if Trump loses again?
Donald Trump, man. My wife calls me Donald Trump. I love the guy. Love the guy.
If you were to lose again, what would that mean to you?
We better buy some more guns, ammunition, because we got what's coming over the border right now is pretty bad. So we got criminals running the show. George Soros, he's got to go. His son's got to go. A lot of people don't know his son's married to Clinton's daughter. So they're all keeping it entwined with each other. So they're keeping it in the money. The crooks are all running the show. You got Kamala Harris. I'm not going to be nasty and call her anything but a name, but we all know what she is. And you got Tampon Tim. Where'd this guy come from? So
yeah, I think that pretty much debunks the shy Trump voter theory. They are unabashed in their love and loyalty for him. His fan base really is unlike any other. His supporters weren't really shy, they were just harder to reach. They were less likely to answer polls. I think part of that is their distrust in institutions. But pollsters are catching on to that and adjusting for it. They know fewer and fewer people use landlines, so they've mixed in other and more digital methods of reaching people. But everyone's demanding more accurate data. The pressure's on, everyone wants to know who's going to win, and they can't wait until November. So where does that leave us? Of course, polls give us an idea of what's happening generally, but let's not forget there are always unknowns. As we get closer to election day, I'll be keeping a closer eye on the polls, and I'll update you as best I can. We'll see how the trends play out, we'll see who pulls ahead, and whether some of these polls are even worth considering. But trust me, this debate about polling accuracy is far from settled.